Hello everyone. Within this tutorial, we will see the concept of MessageBox of VB.NET. When we develop our application, many times we need to display some messages, information to the user. There are also the cases where we need to ask something to the user. For example, do you want to continue? Yes or no. If user click on yes, then the user will able to continue. And if user click on no, obviously the execution of the application stops there. Sometimes we also need to ask, do you want to perform this operation? At that time we need to ask abort, retry, ignore. So these are many different cases which are possible within our application, and obviously MessageBox is the solution for that. Because if we simply want to display message to the user or simply want to display some information to the user, then obviously there are many different things available within VB.NET. For example, label control. It can be used to display information to the user, but within label control we cannot ask something to the user, means user cannot interact with the label control. So if we want to create a kind of an interface where one box pop up to the user, and within that box we want to ask something to the user or we want to display something to the user, then obviously the message box is the option which we can use within our application. So hello friends, this is Dr. Nikisha Jariwala. Welcome to the tutorial of VB.NET. Still, if you have not subscribed my channel, subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss the update. Like the video and also share this tutorial so it becomes helpful to other users. If you are an Instagram user, then it will also be beneficial to you because I also upload my tutorials on Instagram in the form of episodes. So follow me on Instagram, and the handler to my Instagram is present within the description box. Now let's start with our tutorial. Obviously this tutorial also contains the two parts, that is the theory part and a practical part. So first of all, let's start with the theory part. What is message box? We can say it is a dialog box, means we need to respond that box, then only we will able to continue our other operations. So that's why it is also known as a dialog box. We can say that without the interaction with the message box, user will not able to do the further task within the application, and it only requires a single function call. We can also specify many different things within the message box. For example, different types of buttons, as I have already specified, that is yes or no, ignore, abort, retry, OK, cancel. So these are the various types of buttons which we can provide within our message box. We can also set the default buttons, that is by default which button will be selected within the message box. We can also provide different types of icons, that is if it is an error it will display a red icon with cross mark, if it is a warning it will display a yellow icon, if it is an information it will just display I. So these are the many different icons which are possible within the message box. And the most important thing is, MessageBox is the class which is present in system.windows.forms namespace. Now if I want to display any message within the message box, then I need to call show method of MessageBox class, and here is the syntax of MessageBox.show. Obviously, as it is a method, we need to specify the arguments within the parenthesis, and it will also return one value, but it is an optional. Only the compulsory part within this show method is the text that is to be displayed. We will see further in practical also that how we can ignore this all things. So the first argument within the show method is the text, then it is a caption, buttons, icons, default buttons, options, and help file path, and it will return the value which is of dialog result type. Now let's see this all arguments one by one. So first of all, text, obviously as I have told that text is the thing which is to be displayed within the message box. Caption means the text that is to be displayed within the title bar of the message box. Third argument within the message box is buttons. As I have already specified, it allows us many different buttons, that is abort, retry, ignore, OK, cancel, retry, cancel, yes, no, cancel. So these are the different types of buttons which are possible and we can specify within our message box. Another is icon. This also I have already specified that we can use different types of icons to specify that what type of text is displayed within the message box, and it will also look like a graphical kind of a thing. Then we can also specify the default button, that is the first button is to be selected by default, second or third. Another argument within the MessageBox.show is options, that is it will specify display and association options that will be used for MessageBox. Means what kind of a message we need to display and what is the association with that thing with the message box. Another is help file path, that is if we want to specify some help file to the user, when user clicks on the help button, then we can specify the path of that help file within this argument. And the last is dialog result, which is the return data type of the value that is written, or more precise I can say it is the return data type of the result that is given by the message box. Here is an example, that is deem res as dialog result. Res is equal to MessageBox.show, and within parenthesis double quotation I have written one question, that is VB.net, that is Visual Basic awesome, and question mark. In caption it will display the question. Buttons it will specify, that is yes, no, cancel. Icon that it will specify is question, and the default button that is selected, that is button number 2. So here is the message box that will be displayed. See over here is Visual Basic awesome. Here is the text that is displayed within the message box. This is the caption which is displayed within the title bar, that is the question. Then there are 3 buttons that are displayed, that is yes, no, and cancel. The icon that is displayed is question mark icon, and no will be selected by default whenever this message box is displayed to the user. So here we complete the theory portion of our tutorial. Now let's move on to the practical portion, and I have just designed a simple example, a small example through which I want to explain you that how message box can be used within our application. So as usual I have created the project, that is VB.net tutorials. Within that I have created one form, that is FRM MSG box. I have designed it in a very simple way, that is I have asked user to enter the value. There is a text box, the name of the text box is txt value, and then I have placed one button, that is validate, that I want to validate the value that is entered by the user, that whether the value is correct or not. So obviously by clicking on the button I need to validate. So here is the code how that will be possible. So let's start. On the click event of the button, as we have seen in our theory portion, I have first of all I have created one variable of dialog result type, that is res. Then I have specified res is equal to MessageBox.show, and obviously within parenthesis double quotation I have asked the question, that is then I have concatenated the value that we have taken from the text box, that is txt value.text, and again I have concatenated a string, that is a correct value, and the question mark. That is the statement will be formed like is the value is correct and question mark. Then within caption it will display the question. Here I have only taken 2 buttons, that is yes or no. Then icon will be of question mark, that is question, and the default button that will be selected is button 2. Now according to the result that is given by the user, I want to do something. For example, if res is equal to no, that is windows.forms.dialogresult.no, that is user has clicked on no button, then obviously means the value is not correct, so user has to enter the value again. So I have cleared the text box, that is txt value.clear, and I have displayed the message within the message box, that is please enter the value again. Within caption there will be validation. After that only OK button I will display, and the icon I will display is of error. And I have also set the focus to the text box. But if the user click on yes button, then obviously the control will move to else part, and within else part I have just displayed a simple message, that is welcome to the world of VB.net. Caption will be validation, button will be OK, and the icon will be asterisk. So this is a very small example which I have developed. Now let's execute and see what is displayed. So here is our form. It asks me to enter the value, and I am entering the value, that is 8. And I am clicking on validate button. So see over here, as we have displayed a message, that is the value which we have entered is 8, a correct value, and the question mark. The caption I have specified is the question, so it displays that. Icon which I have taken is of question mark. There are 2 buttons, yes and no, and obviously as I have selected, the default button is no, so it is by default selected. And obviously I will click on no button and let's see what it will do. So see, I am clicking on no button. As soon as I have clicked on no button, the text box has got emptied. The message box is displayed. Please enter the value again. Error icon, validation caption, and OK button. Now let's click on OK button. So the cursor has been set within the text box control. Now let me enter another value. Let's take it as 10 and then again click on the same button. So see, it again asks me that whether the value is correct or not. Now this time I will click on yes button. So it will just display a simple message that is welcome to the world of VB.NET and the OK button. And I will click on OK button. So this is a very simple example through which we are able to learn that how the message box can be used in different ways. Now it is not important that we need to specify each and every argument within the message box. One difference is already over here. See, this first message box contains text, caption, buttons, icons and default button. But this two message box doesn't contain the last argument, that is default button. Likewise, if I will remove this, then also it will not make any difference. Only the thing is that the icon will not be displayed within the message box. Let's see. See, again I am entering the value, clicking on validate button. I am clicking on yes because I have changed that message box. So look over here. Only the difference is the icon which was present before is not displayed within the message box. Likewise, if I ignore this OK and validation, then also it will doesn't make any difference. But over here the question is which button will be displayed in the message box. So let's see which is the default button set within the message box. What do you think? Which will be the default button? So let's enter the value. I will enter 10 and validate. It is asking me that whether the value is correct. Obviously I will click on yes. So what will be the default button? So I have clicked on yes and see over here within message box only a message is displayed, that is welcome to the world of VB.NET, and by default OK button is displayed within the message box. So whether we specify the button or not, it will not make any difference because within the message box by default it will display one button, that is OK. So friends, here we complete our tutorial. Thank you.